So we're sitting and chatting about a couple of stories. One is, yet again, another CAC member has decided to call it quits and walk out of François Legault's government. She's not very happy, apparently, either.
Boo-hoo! Maïté Blanchette-Vizina is not happy at all of being ousted from the Council of Ministers. She said today that she has lost faith, I'm quoting her here, lost faith in Premier François Legault, and she also added that he should start thinking about preparing his succession. So, yes, first time we hear a former minister, and we talked about this last week, Aaron, when we were on this segment, and it's always a tricky exercise to do a cabinet shuffle, and you have a lot of people who are disappointed with the premier's decision, and here we have a good example.
How much is this costing her, you figure? $75,000 or something?
No, she goes from a salary of $247K a year as a minister, and she goes back to her M&A regular M&A salary of $141K a year, so it's almost just a little over $100K that she's losing. I mean, I
can't
understand
imagine
that.
Why she's upset, huh?
Yeah, but in the end, you're only there as a minister at the pleasure of the premier, and she should be thankful to the premier to have placed her there for 3 years, because when she came into politics in 2022, she was completely unknown. She was an outsider. Nobody knew about her in Quebec, so she had the privilege of serving as minister for 3 years. I think it's a lack of sportsmanship, because sometimes you have to take a bullet for your team, and in the end, she's clearly not taking it. Yeah. Actually, she's firing back at the premier, and in the current circumstances for her party, well, her former party now, because she's sitting as an independent from now on, it's certainly going to hurt the image once more of the premier.
Yeah, pretty expensive bullet at $100,000.
Pretty expensive.
By the way, what was she minister
golden
of?
Bullet.
What was she minister of?
She was Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry.
Okay.
And she had a hard time also trying to defend. She tried to implement a reform in the forestry sector, and she had a hard time. She was heavily criticized, both by the industry, also by Indigenous communities. So she had a bumpy road as a minister there, but still didn't deliver. And in the end, she's out of the Council of Ministers.
We wish her all the best.
Of course.
Projet Montreal, Ensemble Montreal, we had, of course, the debate, one of them anyway. There was some kind of an event this afternoon as well. I want to get your take on this story that broke yesterday afternoon. So Projet Montreal's, or Luc Ravoin's campaign director, look at that. Not only did she quit, she joined the opposition. So it's the kind of stuff you don't see every day. Is this a big setback for Projet?
It adds up also to all those who have recently quit around Luc Rabouin, who have quit Projet Montréal. So just a few weeks ago, we heard the president also of Projet Montréal leaving the party. We've heard of now Julie Bélanger, who was the director of the campaign, who's now joining Craig Sauvé, the leader of Transition Montréal. So there seems to be a shift. There seems to be disagreements internally at Projet Montréal right now about how the campaign is going and the decisions that have been made by the new leader succeeding Valérie Plante-Luc Rabouin. So as we know, he is trying to bring his party more towards the center. He recently got rid, just a few weeks ago, he got rid of the most controversial elements of that party's program, so such as Camillien, transforming Camillien on Mount Royal into a giant bike path, for instance. Garbage collection in every 2 weeks in Hochelaga Maisonneuve, the 2020 bylaw in Montreal that made it difficult to get property developers to implement social housing. So all those are out, but it seems like internally the core of those who were rather to the left, and Julie Bélanger used to be a very close collaborator to Benoît Doré, so she used to be his chief of staff in the borough of Le Sud-Ouest, so she was really close to Doré, and as we know, Doré is also not running again this fall. So there seems to be some movement within Projet Montréal.
What's your assessment so far of the campaign, which really hasn't officially begun? It doesn't until tomorrow, but from what you've seen, who's doing better? Projet, Ensemble? What have you seen so far?
Well, a few weeks ago, I said to this microphone specifically that I thought that Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, the leader of Ensemble Montréal, was running so far a pretty bland campaign, pretty beige campaign. And I would say that this week particularly, she surprised with a few very interesting star candidates that she announced. Leslie Roberts, whom we know, of course, he was here at this microphone of CJAD, very renowned journalist within the Anglo community. He's running in downtown Montreal in the district of Peter McGill. Yeah. She also announced Thierry Darès, he's a chef, well known to Francophone public. He's very present in Franco media. And also Lorraine Pintal, the former director of Le Théâtre du Nouveau Monde here in downtown Montreal. Somebody who's very well regarded within the culture sector. So 3 three very important candidacies. Add to that the fact that she announced recently as her number two, her potential or possible chairman of the executive committee, the former president of CJAD Montreal. So then again, very renowned within the community organization sector. So all of these, she's having a pretty solid team around her right now. Whereas on the other side, I don't see any star candidates around Rabbi.
Well, not only that, but you had Luc Rabouin come out. I read this today, or he posted somewhere saying, Projet Montreal, we don't have elite candidates. We have regular people who are going to sit in city council. Yeah. We don't need star candidates, which I thought was an odd way to kind of push back against some well-known people.
Against that spin. Well, it seems like a very bad excuse to justify the fact that you can't recruit star candidates right now. So the only one I see is Cathy Wong, who came back to politics. Now she's running to replace Rabouin as mayor of the borough of Le Plateau. But to me, it seems like the campaign on Projet Montreal's side so far is pretty flat. But we'll see tonight. They're having both. Major parties are having launching events tonight to launch officially their campaigns. We'll see. Maybe Rabin will come up with some surprises there and announce some big candidates. But so far, to me, it seems like Soraya Martinez-Pereda is having some kind of a momentum.
Okay.
Recently,
I also thought it was interesting that Luc Rabouin said something about we're not about slogans, we're about service or whatever. I'd heard have you heard a slogan from Ensemble Montreal? Is there a slogan?
Not yet, but it might be unveiled tonight. Then again, because they're all launching.
But he's already talking
tonight.
about it now, as if we should all know that slogan doesn't make any sense. I mean, get that.
Indeed, but also Rabouin came up with some proposals recently that, to me, were like, you've been there for 8 years. Why did you not implement those solutions prior to that? So
obvious question for the opposition to ask, right?
Yeah.
Pablo Rodriguez, I heard this from Jim Meny. I had not even seen this story. So in this whole debate over Bill 21 and the challenge now to the Supreme Court over the notwithstanding clause, what did Pablo Rodriguez say today? So
yesterday, Pablo Rodriguez said during a press conference that he recognized he doesn't want to touch Bill 21. He would not renew the use of the notwithstanding clause because you have to renew it every 5 years, as we know. But he would not touch Bill 21 if he were elected premier in the next general election next year. So he said yesterday that to him, secularism, and I'm quoting him here, has brought social peace in Quebec. Now, that's a pretty interesting U-turn from the leader of the Liberal Party, the Quebec Liberal Party, whereas when he was with the Trudeau government, he was amongst those who were the most fierce against Bill 21, saying that the federal government should challenge this in courts, in the Supreme Court eventually. So interesting, and most of all, I'm just wondering, how is his party going to react? Not this trigger an internal crisis? Because remember, Dominique Anglade just a few years ago went through something similar when she was not very clear on her stance on Bill 96
right?
on the language issue. Exactly, and that's always an issue for any leader of the Liberal Party, because you have to satisfy on one side your base, the core of those who vote for you. The Anglo community, communities coming from different cultural communities. Liberals in general, who are for the most part against things like Bill 21 and secularism. And on the other side, you have a Liberal Party that's at around 15% amongst Francophone voters. So if you want the Liberal Party to make gains in the next election, you have to reach out to those voters outside of the greater Montreal area. You have to reach out to
this was his way to do that?
This was his way to try and put some, as we say in French, mettre de l'eau dans son vin, put some water in your wine just to tone it down a bit and try to send a branch of olive to Francophones, saying we might be able to find a common ground. Okay. But at the same time, I think this is a tricky move from Pablo Rodriguez, because it could also alienate his base.
I have 1 minute. I want to get to the story you were talking about to me before we went on air. So you're outraged today.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Governor General Mary Simon, what did we just find out that she has done?
She spent in the last year $7,500 just for clothes and shoes, Aaron. Clothes and shoes. We pay for that. On top of her salary.
Do you want her to walk around in rags?
Well, she could pay for herself. She earns $378K a year of a salary that we pay for as taxpayers. On top of that, we pay for her residence. She lives at Rideau Hall alcohol for free. This big palace in the middle of Ottawa, we pay for it. We pay for her food. We pay for all her expenses related to her travels abroad.
So she should spend her own money on clothes.
So she should spend her own money. You know, I work, if I come to CJAD or CTV, I pay for my own clothes. Nobody else.
You get a clothing allowance. I want one. I'm wearing a T-shirt, so please.
Yeah, I hope nobody paid for that. But anyway, but that being said, Mary Simon should pay for her own clothes. It's harming the image of the monarchy in Canada. It's abusive to ask taxpayers, to pay for that, especially in the current circumstances where people are having a hard time making decisions.
Is there outrage over this, or is this just breaking news?
It's breaking news right now. I'm outraged. I hope people at home are also outraged. Let's be all outraged together.
Great.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.